Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name's Alex, and this is this morning's paper talk. Hope you're all doing well. Sorry, it's not Joe Smith, but you're going to see plenty of him later on, of course, because he has his, late night live tonight at 10 p.m. as usual. So, to get straight into the topics. Topic number one today, we have Paul Pogba. Of course, Paul Pogba, because, always news around Paul Pogba. First, also make sure you get your questions in. I'll be answering them. So there's been an interview today or yesterday with Dugarry, who was Zidane's ex-teammate, obviously for France, and he's been talking a lot about Paul Pogba and saying he's had a difficult year with injuries, but he also mentioned that every time he has played, he's reached his level, even though the team's been struggling, which to me sounds a bit crazy considering how few times Paul Pogba's actually been playing. He said, knowing Zizou, if he's in love with Pogba, there's no reason to wait. He has a midfield that struggles with breaking lines, and Paul Pogba is the ideal person to do that. So obviously there's people encouraging Paul Pogba to go to Real Madrid. There's always going to be news around this. I think anytime anyone remotely linked with Zidane, remotely linked with Real Madrid, or even Manchester United, I think Paul Pogba's going to be on that list, so obviously I had to mention him. And of course, that's what he said, Paul the Grealish that looks like a replacement for Paul Pogba, and to be honest, last summer it looked very likely that Paul Pogba was going to go there, but who knows this season, they have to strengthen in all different areas, Real Madrid, and whether Paul Pogba is top of that list, I do not know. But anyway, who knows? We've got a comment from Ross Miller. Get a midfielder in ASAP. Yeah, I agree. I think that I think if Paul Pogba leaves, we desperately need extra players. This isn't just a one person to replace him, and we're also, even though Bruno's coming, we're still short in other aspects. Fred McTominay doing a great job. They're definitely going to be here for quite a long time, I reckon. And then you've got players like Matic, who realistically are probably only going to be able to do another year. They're not going to be able to do more than that. So even with Paul Pogba staying, with Paul Pogba leaving, we definitely need to strengthen in that area. So we'll see how that goes. This is just going to rumble on all the way through, whether there's a transfer window or not. I think Paul Pogba, the links are going to be Paul Pogba's going to want to go somewhere, and this until either he signs a contract or he actually moves. I think this is going to rumble on until all the time he's at Manchester United. And even if he signs a contract, I reckon there'll be something like, oh, maybe he's doing this for another year and then we'll sell him for more. There's always going to be that. So I think this is going to be the story of the outs, especially for Manchester United all summer. And we've got another out for you as the next topic. We have Diogo Dalot. There's a report yesterday in Sports Witness saying that United are looking at selling Dalot. They see that Wan-Bissaka is the first choice, and they want to get around £30 million for him. They mentioned 35 to 45 million euros for Diogo Dalot, which I think is a fair price. I think he's a good player. I think there's a lot of people going to kind of say that, oh, we shouldn't let him go. He's a good player and he doesn't deserve to be let go. But I still believe that he was signed for a system that we no longer want to play. He was signed for a system of, I think he was bought into the fact that maybe we play three at the back and he plays a wing back, or even if we play four at the back, that a lot of it is going to be down to high crosses into the box, which Dalot's very good at. You've seen that in lots of the games he's played. He's going forward very good, his crossing's very good. And I think that the idea was that Lukaku was going to be the striker that was going to be getting on the end of them. I think this all links to why he wanted Perisic and Willian, all these players that can cross a ball with Lukaku in there. That's what the system was going to be. It was going to be a team that was going to cross the ball into a striker from Lukaku. Someone was going to attack the ball with headers, but that's obviously no longer the case. We're a different team now. We're going a different way. Also, we've got Wan-Bissaka, who's done extremely well this season. And like everyone keeps mentioning, Ethan Laird is a good backup and could potentially push Wan-Bissaka for a place. So I don't think that's going to happen too often, or even him push and be an option at right wing. But I just don't think he's good enough. And I think with the rumours of Sancho coming in, with Dan James as a backup to that, with Mason Greenwood as a backup to that, I don't think we need someone that's not that good of a winger to be pushing in there. So I don't think Diogo Dalot I don't think Diogo Dalot is going to be there for too much longer, and I think that we're right to be asking for 35, 45 million euros, 30 million pounds. We signed him for what, 20 million a couple of years ago. He's on a decent contract at Manchester United. He's a good player. I think we should be asking for that kind of fee. And I think the one thing with this, I think I'd like to see is that Manchester United make a decision early. I'd like to see that if he isn't in the plan, don't let him sit and fester and kind of get to the phase where we lose him for nothing. That's kind of happened with players like even Chris Smalling. I was never a fan of how he played on the ball. I thought he's dreadful, but he's a good defender and would do well elsewhere. But we kind of let him sit and fester, and now it's got to the phase where the best we're going to get from him is £12 million, and he's worth more. He would have been worth more than that, and that's kind of how it's gone for a lot of these players. I think United need to make a decision. He's either going to play, keep him, get him into the team, or let's cash in on him early. Let's not wait for him to get into the last year of his contract and sell him for a loss, or do what we did Lukaku and only make our money back. He's a player that has improved. I don't know whether he's improved, but he's definitely still a very good player, a very good talent, and he would fit into a different system. Let's move him on. Let's sell him for the right price, and let's get the money that we deserve to get into the players instead of having them sit around in the reserves and all that. Get rid of him, move on. Let's have a look in the comment. Lowe's a good player, but it's best for both of us. He has to sell him. I agree, Zach. That's the thing. He's a good player. He's done really well. I think PSG are just looking at that team that did them over and picking a few players out of that. But he's a good player. But this is does this mean opportunities now for Ethan Laird? I hope so. I think that's kind of the case. I think that's what they're looking at. The other thing is you've got players like Brandon Williams who can fit in at right back as well, right-footed player. So I think that Dalot is kind of an extra player that we don't really need. Wan-Bissaka's played when we played three at the back, so as a wing back. So I don't see that changing. So I don't see that Wan-Bissaka is going to slot in at right centre half and move from there. I think that Dalot is going to be moved on, which I think is the right decision. Let's have a look what else. Next one. So Kieran McKenna. Let's move on to topic 3. We have Kieran McKenna has been talking to Sky and to Manchester United about a potential return to training for Manchester United. They're looking at potentially the loosening of the lockdown on May 7th, which is the next time it's kind of up for renewal. It's the end of the 3-week cycle again. That potentially they could go and train. Again, these are all, I say potentially a lot because this is all if, buts and maybes. There's nothing set, and he said that United are looking at, the planning to then go in at May 7th, and they're going to get like 3 or 4 weeks of training before they're maybe going to have to play some games. I think that's very ambitious. I think there's a lot of things to do, whether they allow people to go in. They may have to do testing and things like that to get players in. He's also mentioned the fitness of the players. He said they're maintaining a higher level of fitness than they do in an off-season, so the drop-off isn't going to be huge. They're not going to be miles behind in terms of fitness, but obviously, ball work and shape and things like that, they're going to have to catch up to speed to that very quickly. But every team's going to be in the same boat. It's not going to be one team that are losing out on all this. So, Kieran McKenna has been talking. Hopefully, United coming back end of this month, next month, maybe to some kind of training, which kind of leans towards them looking at getting going in June. Again, I don't see that. All depends how they're going to do this. Obviously, there was the news yesterday about them saying that if everything finishes, the Champions League will be done on merit, and that it'll be the points per game right now, which is, again, you would think that kind of puts United in. Does that mean United are in or out because of the City situation? That's still got to come about. Obviously, there's games in hand with Sheffield United. We looked at it and we slightly have a better points per game than them, even though they have a game in hand. So we're above Sheffield United right now if the seal does, or are they going to be out of it until that appeal goes through? There's all sorts of things to take into account. So, again, what's going to happen with this season, we still don't really know. But I think it all depends on whether we can get testing to players and whether they agree that players and clubs and stuff can be tested, and that'll get them into the team. But we'll see. Let's have a look. United had planned training before as well. You're right. Yeah, he's mentioned as well. There's they've done different scenarios, an A, B, and C scenarios. So, they're working the players up to a point where they're coming back in, they're saying now 3 weeks, but they've said also, what if it's 6 weeks, it's 9 weeks, they're working the players and making sure they're fit and maintained. You've seen obviously clips of the players doing running, making sure they're doing that. But like I said, they need 3 or 4 weeks of training it's a different thing. Everyone that knows football knows that fitness training is very different to actually playing football and to do things like that. So it's a completely different thing. Ross Murphy, I'd buy Traore if we couldn't get Sancho. Different levels of players. I think Traore is a great player, very good player, very good direct player. But I think Sancho's on another level. Traore would be a great option for Manchester United, but I think the problem is the United tax that essentially gets put on players like that. I think you'd be looking at probably 70-80 million for a player like Traore, which is, for as good as he is, I don't think he's worth that much. And Sancho, 100 million, I kind of see him worth that much. He's the top assister, one of the top teenagers scoring 10 goals and 10 assists or something like that this season. Ridiculous numbers for that kind of player in a top league, in a top team, in the Champions League as well, doing it. So I think whilst Traore would be a great option, I don't think he's anywhere near the level of Sancho. I think he's a direct player. I think he's that, but I don't think he's got the creativity that Sancho has. Sancho has that pace as well, can be direct, but also, I'm not saying Dan James anywhere near the level of Traore, but we've got those players that play on the counter attack and a direct. What we're missing is the players that can do that, as well as put in that final ball and have that little bit of guile when teams are sitting back. Because that's, again, even though we've done better towards the end of this season or towards the last few games, that's still where we've struggled. We've struggled against teams that have sat back. We've not been able to break them down. And with Bruno adding in there, Sancho is another option. Sancho is someone that can beat a player in the last third. He can play that final pass. He's the kind of player we need. Traore, I see, he's more of a direct player, and I think that he wouldn't quite do the job. Let's have a look. We need to give Sancho time when he comes. Exactly. Definitely. The German league is a very good league, but it's not exactly the same. And also, we have to remember he's a very good player and a top player, but still 19, 20 years old. I think he will have an instant impact, but at the same time, he's still going to be inconsistent a little bit. I still think there will be inconsistencies there. Came in and we had 3 weeks to go. He's not going to be able to bed in the way that a normal signing would be able to. He's not going to be able to bed in and be into normal training and be preparing for the season straight away. There's not going to be the usual, even a last signing, a deadline day signing. That's going to be the kind of feel to everything this year if it is shorter and whatever they do. Callum said, I also have faith Sancho will be a United player as soon as the window opens. We need to allow him time to settle in. Exactly. We need to do that. Let's have a quick look. Lukewarm said the media will be all over him if he doesn't hit the ground running. I think the fans will be a little more patient. I agree. But the media's like that on every single player that Manchester United sign. I think Bruno's is the exception where he has really hit the ground running and had some unbelievable performances straight away. That's always going to be the case. Paul Pogba's had loads of stick. All these players that have come in, every player for Manchester United will have some kind of stick from the media and all this kind of stuff. But we'll see how go on. Let's have a look. Where else have we got? Any more comments? Have you been playing any golf recently, Alex? No, because the golf courses are closed. Hopefully they're back open soon, because I'm getting a bit bored. For as much as Stretford Paddock stuff is good, I am getting a bit bored. I want to get out of the house. Is Sal a better option for Pogba? I'm guessing that means as a replacement. I think that, I don't know. It's a weird one. I think Sal's obviously a great player and would fit into our system very well, but it depends where they see Bruno playing. Whether it's we go back to the 4-3-3 that we had, where we have one holding midfielder and two ahead, where it's a Pogba and Bruno, or Grealish and Bruno kind of slightly ahead, or if we're playing the 4-2-3-1, I think Bruno can do both those roles well. I think he can sit in the 6 in some of the games where he can take the ball off defence and spray the ball about. I think he can play as the 10. I think he's shown that since he's come in. I think in the Wolves game, he had a great game in the second half in the 6 where, he kind of dictated the play. and then in other games he's played in the 10 and been the more creator. I think he can do both, and I think it all depends on what Ollie sees and what Ollie sees where he's going to go, whether he is going to be that one that sits alongside a McTominay maybe, or Fred, or McTominay or Matic and given the free role, or is he seen as the 10 and we want to bring in someone like a Sal alongside a McTominay or Fred? Who knows? Does he see McTominay and Fred and then Bruno ahead of them? I don't know. I think the Grealish rumours make me feel that maybe it's going to be Bruno maybe a little bit deeper, or go back to the 2-8s and maybe, but again, it's going to be a very fluid system. I don't think United are going to be very, very rigid with the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3, however we go. Can you see Pogba, Bruno and Salah in the 3? I don't know. I don't think so. I think you need someone that is a out and out defender in that group, and I don't see that. So I think they're all very dynamic players, but I don't think they are. I think you could play that against the lower teams, but not against the top teams. No. Last question. Have you ever hit a hole in one? I have. Yes, I've only got the one. That is enough for today. Thanks for joining. Make sure to check out, we've got Joe's obviously late night live tonight. We're going to have House and McCullough this afternoon as well. Also, all some good stuff over the weekend. Make sure you check out the memberships. There's the 3 tiers. We've got the top tier of the membership with some Stretford Paddock merch, which is all getting sorted right now. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you when I see you next time. See you later.